Now, German anti-aircraft Patriot missiles stationed in Turkey are reported to become a target themselves to computer hackers. New story in a Berlin-based magazine says that at some point the base began carrying out unexplained orders. No specifics were reported, but apparently controls were briefly overridden. The German Defense Ministry has rebuffed the claim, saying it's got no evidence of such an attack, but hackers interfering with military equipment elsewhere is not unheard of. Let's look at the recent history. 2011, Israel's renowned Iron Dome defense system became a target and technical data was stolen. And in 2013, hackers notoriously got hold of blueprints for America's most expensive weapon system, the F-35 fighter. Let's go live to former MI5 agent Annie Machon. Annie, you're live on RT International. Hi. Are these modern-day weapon systems, highly sophisticated technical things, really that vulnerable to hackers? Scary if they are.
I think any system that's based on computer software is going to be vulnerable to hackers. These systems will be probed by other states, government-level agencies. They will be probed possibly by corporations that are paid to do so, to test the resilience of the encryption around these systems. And they could well be probed by hacktivists who just want to see what is possible and perhaps highlight the flaws and highlight the vulnerabilities. Yeah,
but surely the boffins that created these things have got the most advanced firewalls in place, you'd hope?
One would hope. I think what we're seeing here, though, is a parallel with some of the disclosures that Edward Snowden has come out with over the last few years, which has shown that US-based software is often very closed, very proprietary. Nobody's allowed to see what the codes contain. And the NSA has lent on companies to make sure that backdoors are built in, which is for the NSA to look at and its vassal states. But also, it allows vulnerabilities to other actors who might want to get in and have a nose around the systems. So what happens with other software means that actually hardware, the military hardware governed by American-based software, can be equally vulnerable.
Well, this German magazine apparently goes on to report that the breach mentions 2 weak spots that could have been exploited by hackers. Again, it raises the question, how could knowledge of this kind of very sensitive information even be made public? How could they get hold of it?
It depends who's been doing the hacking, I suppose. It probably argues against a corporation trying to expose vulnerabilities in the interests of upping the encryption and the security around it. It might be an active state trying to work against this software. It might be hackers just having a look around and seeing what they can do.
Well, it gets worse,
I think the major problem here, though...
No, this publication goes on to mention as well unexplained orders were happening. It's been denied, but it says unexplained orders were happening. I wonder what they could have been, how dangerous that could have been.
Well, indeed, yes. Indeed. I mean, who actually has their finger on the trigger? This is a basic problem for partners of the US. If they buy US software, if they buy US military hardware, do they really have control of it? It's a bit like the UK nuclear capability. Not necessarily. They have to get permission of the US to launch that capability. Any other software, any other hardware that is based and coming out of American corporations, American military corporations, it might necessarily have these sort of backdoors built in, which means that the people who are using it and deploying it, like the German government, don't necessarily have full control of their weapons. Now, any country that is serious about its national security and its national interests should surely be building its own weaponry. And it should be making sure that it's developing its own population knowledge base, its skills base, to be able to do that too. Otherwise, they are dependent on a so-called ally who might, therefore, in a few years, turn around and spy on them.
What a thought. Annie Machon, former MI5 agent, as you say, as you hope, you'd hope things would be more secure. Thanks for being on the programme.